knows how unpopular he is, but the people around him know it even better. And that's why this week they quietly forced him to cancel one of his favorite public appearances of the year, not because of scheduling conflicts, not because of logistics, but because they know what happens to him when the crowd turns on him. This wasn't just about embarrassment. It was about damage control. It was about an inner circle that has finally accepted a hard truth.
You're going to see some Republicans who are pretty panicked.
Trump is now his own worst liability. Every unscripted moment, every public appearance, every live crowd is a risk, not to the country, but to him. And when that reality leaked, it exposed something deeper than humiliation. It revealed an administration already bracing for fallout, already trying to limit how much harm he can do to himself before the next political test arrives. And that larger test is already here, because while Trump is hiding from crowds, he is not hiding from the calendar. We are now deep into a midterm election year, and the people around him understand exactly what that means.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. As you know, it is already 2026. We're in the midterm election year, 9 months away from Election Day, 9 months today. And Donald Trump and members of his administration are already making moves to try to illegitimately take control of the American election system. Now, Trump doesn't want Republicans to lose the House and the Senate. One big reason in particular, I think, that he keeps making very clear.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
I don't think he's wrong, and I really think he's very obsessed with legacy right now, that he does not want to go for his third impeachment.
Listen closely to Chris Hayes' analysis. Donald Trump is no longer fighting for the Republican Party, nor is he fighting for the future of America. He is fighting for a legal shield. Why is he so obsessed with winning the 2026 midterms? It's not to pass legislation. It's to preempt a third impeachment. To Trump, Congress isn't a legislative body. It's a personal security detail. If he loses control of the House and Senate, his final layer of armor disintegrates. When a president looks at voters and sees nothing more than the numbers needed to escape accountability, that isn't democracy. It's a political jailbreak.
He's obsessed with keeping control of Congress. I think, honestly, primarily for that reason, because it's not like he cares about passing legislation or cares about other people's electoral fortunes. But the thing is, he's obsessed about keeping Congress, and he has no real plan to do it normally or legitimately, right? Despite all the bravado and the constant boasts about never being more popular, they know the score. The administration actually understands that Trump is in trouble. The Republican Party's in trouble. And it's not just polling. Look at this. You might have seen this over the weekend. A Texas special election that happened over the weekend in which a Democrat flipped a red state Senate seat, winning by 14 points in a district Trump carried by 17 points in 2024. That's a 31-point swing. That is almost literally unheard of. Now, don't expect a blowout like that in November. You're going to have turnout that's going to be much higher. That was a low turnout election. Democrats tend to do better in those. But even a 10-point swing in the midterms would wipe out the Republican majority.
Don't let Donald Trump's bravado about his popularity fool you. Chris Hayes' analysis has exposed a brutal truth. The Trump administration is in a state of pure panic. Why? Look at the numbers in Texas. In a deep red district where Trump won by a landslide of 17 points in 2024, a Democrat just flipped the seat by a 14-point margin. That isn't just a win, it's a 31-point earthquake. In politics, a 5-point shift is a warning, 10 points is a disaster, but 31 points, that is a mass exodus of voters. Trump knows he has no path to win fair and square in a free election. With the numbers spiraling out of control, he is forced to pivot to his ultimate plan, not to win over voters, but to seize control of the election machinery. Because Trump knows that if he loses Congress, he doesn't just lose power, he loses everything.
Heck, a 5-point swing in the midterms would wipe out the Republican House majority. So they know what they're facing. They see the writing on the walls. And they know they don't right now, unless things change dramatically, have a path to just outright winning a free and fair election. Most normal incumbents who aren't Donald Trump see their party suffer losses in the midterms, right? So Donald Trump is exploring other plans. The first plan was to gerrymander congressional maps. Why leave it up to voters to choose Republicans when Republicans could simply choose their voters? And so Donald Trump tenaciously, constantly pushed red states to redraw their districts to be even redder, right? To change their congressional districts mid-decade. This never happens, right? Texas did it, Missouri did it, Ohio still may. But Trump's pressure generated a backlash. First, among Republicans in, for instance, Indiana, who just told him to take a hike, wouldn't do what he wanted, despite J.D. Vance going there in person, inviting him to the White House, right? And also in blue states like California, which defensively redrew its maps. And so when all is said and done, between California, what's happening in Virginia, maybe Maryland, the fact Indiana wouldn't do it, the whole thing made the gerrymandering war a wash. It could actually, in the end up net benefiting the Democrats because Donald Trump started this fight. So now midterm election year is upon us. That gerrymandering plan has really failed. I think they thought this was like their secret weapon, right? Their ace in the hole. No. So now it's time for the Republican plan B. And that is, and they're saying this out loud, to fully seize the machinery of American voting.
Collapse of Donald Trump's Plan A, realizing that a mere 5-point swing is enough to wipe out the Republican House majority. Trump didn't choose to moderate his policies or win back the people. Instead, he tried to re-engineer the electorate. The gerrymandering campaign was a brazen attempt to turn voters into pawns. Trump's philosophy is chillingly simple. If you can't convince the voters to choose you, then you choose the voters. But here's the critical twist. This ambition backfired by aggressively pushing red states to redraw maps mid-decade, an almost unheard of move. Trump ignited a political arms race. Blue states like California fought back defensively, and even principled Republicans in states like Indiana told him to take a hike. The result? His ace in the hole turned out to be a dead end. The gerrymandering war is a wash, and it may even net benefit the Democrats. This is exactly what makes this moment so dangerous. When Plan A failed, Trump didn't retreat. He doubled down on Plan B, the total seizure of the American voting machinery. We are no longer talking about standard politics. We are witnessing a systematic coup being prepared in broad daylight. They are saying it out loud because they have no other choice left to win. And if you're still with me, stay locked in. These moments matter, and your voice in this fight matters. Drop A. So I know you're here, and let's move into what comes next, because the fear inside Trump's circle is only the beginning. That context matters, because once you understand how badly Trump needs to control Congress, not to govern, but to protect himself, everything else snaps into focus. The cancellations, the fear of public appearances, the retreat from live crowds. This is not coincidence. It is preparation. When a president starts avoiding the public while simultaneously trying to seize control of the election system, that's not politics as usual. That's a warning sign, and it tells us exactly where this story is going next. When a leader starts canceling public appearances, it's never just about one event. It's about what they're trying to avoid. And in Donald Trump's case, the thing he's avoiding is painfully simple: the sound of a crowd that no longer wants him there. We are far closer than many people want to admit to Trump openly questioning whether elections should happen at all. He's floated the idea before, half joking, half testing the room. But when polling continues to slide and public rejection becomes unavoidable, the temptation to say it out loud, to cancel, delay, or delegitimize the midterms stops being theoretical. That moment is not distant. It's approaching. And if you want to understand why Trump is spiraling toward that point, you don't have to guess. He already told us. He said it himself.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. But fortunately for you, they have horrible policy.
You take the blue bag, your story ends. Another boring snack. Or we make Opal Pop.
Opal Pop.
For Donald Trump, the 2026 midterms are not a policy debate. They are a shield for survival. Losing doesn't just mean losing a majority. It means losing immunity. To him, failure equals prosecution. This explains the quiet retreat we've seen recently. His decision to skip the Super Bowl wasn't about the flight distance or the halftime show. It was a calculated move by his inner circle to avoid a viral moment of rejection. They knew that inside that stadium, the loudest sound wouldn't be cheers, but a wave of boos from tens of thousands of people. Trump doesn't see disapproval as criticism. He feels it as a deep personal humiliation. And when a leader starts hiding from the public while trying to seize the machinery of the election system, it's not a show of strength. It's a sign that the illusions of authority are cracking. When power starts hiding, it's because the people are winning. Fear alone doesn't change behavior. What changes behavior is consequence. And what we're watching now is not just Donald Trump being afraid, it's Donald Trump being forced to retreat. The Super Bowl decision didn't happen in a vacuum. It came after months of collapsing approval, mounting public anger, and a growing recognition inside his own circle that visibility has become dangerous. Not because of security threats, but because of legitimacy. When a leader can't appear in public without being rejected, the illusion of authority starts to crack. And that crack widened even further when another quiet reversal followed. The plan to deploy ICE agents throughout the Super Bowl venue in Santa Clara was walked back. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. Because everyone involved understood what that image would communicate: intimidation, cruelty, and political desperation wrapped in a family-friendly event watched by the entire country. ICE is now Trump's least defensible weapon. It is also his most politically toxic, and the public knows it. Poll after poll shows that anger over immigration enforcement, especially the use of federal agents in public spaces, has become a defining issue. Not because people don't care about the border, but because they care about humanity. And Trump's approach has stripped away every pretense of that. And this is where the larger stakes snap into focus, because these abuses aren't just policies, they are liabilities. They carry consequences not only for this administration, but for every official who enabled it. And that reality was spelled out clearly on national television.
I just want to remind people that Kristi Noem won't be secretary forever. Donald Trump won't be president forever. Suggesting that 3 years from now we could have a Democratic president, we could have a new attorney general. That Justice Department would be empowered to do real criminal investigations of these shootings, of these beatings, and of these arrests. And so those agents may all get a federal pardon from Donald Trump so that the federal government won't be able to do that in the next administration. But without that pardon, this remains an open possibility for the next Justice Department to investigate, doesn't it?
Of course. Well, we're going to have real attorney generals again. People like Robert F. Kennedy, people like Edward Levy, people like Janet Reno. We're going to have a real Justice Department again. We're going to have a real criminal division again that brings criminal actions against government officials who violate the civil rights of the people. We are going to restore and we're going to fortify and improve the rule of law. And we know it's not as simple as just turning the clock back to the time before Donald Trump, because obviously those were the conditions that allowed for Donald Trump and MAGA to penetrate our society and take over our government. We're going to have to fortify democracy and freedom to make them much stronger going forward. And having been through this nightmare together and with the heroic resistance and opposition that we're seeing all over the country, we're going to make it through. We need to obviously mobilize the vote and keep winning the way we won in Virginia, in New Jersey, in California, in Alabama, the way we just won in Texas, a 31-point swing in a state Senate election. We're going to keep going, and we have to defend those elections because Donald Trump, who obviously has no other program for America relating to health care, relating to housing for young people, relating to any public good, has one objective in mind, which is trying to steal the election the way he tried to steal it back in 2020 when he called the Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, in Georgia and said, "I just want you to find me 11,780 votes." That wasn't Donald Trump trying to stop election fraud. That was Donald Trump trying to commit election fraud. And he did it all over the country, and he will try again. But we are ready for him, and and we have people fighting all.
What this insertion makes unmistakably clear is that the retreat we're seeing today doesn't end with Trump leaving a stadium. It extends into legal exposure, future accountability, and the possibility, finally, of a Justice Department empowered to investigate what this administration has done.
Meet Niles Knurk. He's the owner of Gurney's. They're a seed